Let's throw some jabs.
The fight starts now!
All right, Sergio, Devin Haney successfully defended his undisputed 135-pound championship on Saturday, defeating Vasily Lomachenko by close but unanimous decision. So let's start here. It was a close and contested decision by a lot of people watching. Who do you think won the fight?
I thought Loma won the fight 7-5. A lot of close rounds, but I just think Loma was a better storyteller, Mannix. Think about Leonard Hagler. Everyone thought Hagler won that fight, including yourself, Boston boy. But who told the better story? That was Sugar Ray Leonard. It was all about who told the better story to the judges, the fans, and everyone in attendance. I thought Loma did just that, and he squeezed out this fight.
I thought Loma did a great job in this fight. And if he had won, I would have had no problem with the decision. But Haney won, and I still had no problem with the decision. Look, I scored the fight from ringside 8-4 in favor of Lomachenko. I had it even through 8, and then I gave Lomachenko each of the last 4 rounds. So I believe Lomachenko won. But when those scores were read, I didn't have a problem with it. I thought a lot of those early rounds were razor thin. In fact, 2 of the 4 rounds of the final 4, I thought were incredibly close as well. So judges scoring it in a particular way in favor of the other guy when it's that close, I don't have a big problem with it. I did have a problem with Dave Moretti, who scored the fight 116-112 in favor of Haney, giving the 10th round to Lomachenko. If you want to look at this, or to Haney rather, if you want to look at this at a micro level, that 10th round was not a Devin Haney round. That was a round he was hurt by Lomachenko, and I don't know how a judge can look at that and still score it that way, but that is irrelevant. Even if Dave Moretti scored that round for Lomachenko still would have lost 115-113 on each of the other 2 scorecards. So I did not consider that to be a major robbery. So moving forward, we had Shakur Stevenson jump into the ring after the fight and challenge Haney. And there are calls now for a showdown between Haney and Gervonta Davis at lightweight. So, Sergio, should Haney stay at 135 pounds or should he move up to 140?
No, he should stay at 135. He's the man to beat. He's the one with all the belts. He's 24 years old. He's in the prime of his career. He has Tank Davis, which will be the most marketable, popular fight in boxing. He has Shakur Stevenson right there staring at him, licking his chops, waiting for a shot at that title. If you want a popular, stay busy fight, you got Ryan Garcia comeback fight. We got amateur success there. Both of them went 3 apiece. And of course, if you want to prove yourself, you got a young bug like Frank Martin. 135 is loaded. It's a great division. If he moves up to 140, the Sharks are going to be circling there too, with Teofimo Lopez, Regis Prograis, Josh Taylor, and so on. 135 is where he should stay, Mannix, because he still looked good. He still looked good against high-tech Loma. He didn't look weight drained like he did in that rematch with Kambosos. Whatever he did in that second fight, whatever he did in this last fight, that's how he should come in his next fight. 135 is the place to be. He's still young enough. He can rehydrate and be strong at that weight.
All right, first of all, Ryan Garcia is a 140-pounder now, so he's not at 135 available for Devin Haney, and he wouldn't be a comeback fight for Devin Haney.
Catch weight, Ryan Garcia 136 was Garcia's last fight.
He's not doing catch weights anymore. Ryan Garcia is a full-fledged 140-pounder now, and that's one of the reasons that I think Devin Haney should move up to 140. Now, I do agree that if a Tank Davis fight can be made, Devin Haney should stay at 135. Tank Davis, Devin Haney is the most marketable fight you can make at 135 because you have all the popularity of Tank Davis and all the titles and the accolades of Devin Haney. This is a tremendous clash of styles, the boxer versus the puncher, the guy that peppers you with the jab versus the guy that hits you with the exploding counter shot. It is a terrific fight. It would do big numbers. But if a Davis fight isn't there, move up. The Shakur Stevenson fight, Sergio, is going to happen at some point. Shakur's going to move up to 140. He might even get all the way to 147. Down the line, that fight's going to happen. But Shakur Stevenson, even though he's one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in boxing, he is not one of the most marketable fighters in boxing just yet. Frank Martin, you don't stay at 135 for Frank Martin. I think for Devin Haney, who has been a lifelong lightweight, since he was a kid, he was a lightweight. I think now is the time to move up in weight. He has accomplished everything he can possibly accomplish at 135 pounds. And at 140, the terrain is ripe for Devin Haney to win some belts and potentially establish himself as the undisputed champion at 140. Think about who's up there. You've got Regis Prograis, who would be aching for a Devin Haney fight. You've got Rolly Romero, who just won a title at 140 pounds. You've got Subriel Matias, who is out there without a promoter for the moment, eager for a big fight. These are very makeable fights for Devin Haney. And if he gets a couple of wins, and if Ryan Garcia gets a couple of wins, all of a sudden, in 2024, we're talking about Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia in a super fight. I agree with you. The biggest fights right now are at 135, but the only marketable one is Gervonta Davis. Other than that, if I'm Devin Haney, I'm going north. I'm headed to 140.
The terrain is fertile to really put a button on this. Terrain's not a fruit, so it can't be whatever you said. But no, 140 makes sense. 135 makes sense. Only a fighter could answer that question. And I think Haney still looked good. He didn't look weight drained like he did against Kambosos.
He did look weight drained. He did look weight drained going into that fight. No. Go look on social media for the pictures of him at the actual weigh-in, not the ceremonial weigh-in where he shoved Lomachenko. The actual weigh-in. You could see his ribs through his body. He had to drain himself down to that weight. And Sergio, you know as well as anyone, when you spend your entire career at one weight class, even though he's young, just 24 years old, that's a lot to ask a fighter that size. I don't think it makes sense for him to stay at 135 just to fight Shakur Stevenson, when the reality is a year, 2 years, when both these guys are still in their mid-20s, that fight's going to be available at 140. It might be available at 147. It just doesn't make a whole lot of boxing business sense for him to stay at 135 for that particular fight. Go up, win a bunch of titles, and then target Shakur Stevenson sometime in the next couple of years.
Hey, listen, I spent my entire career in one weight class, so it's possible. I'm tall with broad shoulders. Devin Haney's tall with broad shoulders. Yes, he's only 24
No, you didn't.
years old.
You didn't spend your entire career
did,
in one
Mannix.
weight class. You won a title at 154.
I went down just to rehydrate, but I stayed around 154, 160. Most of my fights were at 160. Three of them
That's
were
2 weight
154.
classes.
That's one, whatever. This isn't about me. I think that this isn't about me. Devin Haney looked great at 135. He's the man with all the belts. He's the one to beat. He's the one making with all the money, undisputed. Yes, if his body is telling him he should move up, then me and you have no word in this. It's up to the fighter and how he feels making that weight. To me, he looked good. Whether it was at the weigh-in or in the fight, he looked good. I think he's still young enough to stay at lightweight for at least another year.
When you weighed in for the rematch against Vernon Forrest at 154 pounds, how did you feel?
I felt terrible. I looked like a prune and I felt terrible, and I lost my title on the scale. But I was 28 years old, man.
There's the lesson for Devin Haney. Don't lose your title on the scale. Vacate it, move up, and win some more.